Yeah, because I think Britt is just using the calendar invite. So let me,
Should I
Maybe.
join too? I don't know.
oh, yes.
Let me know
yeah,
if you
actually,
need me on a different one.
No, I think you're good. We're just gonna make sure everybody is on the same one.
Okay.
You just send this to your email. And file. Okay. All
So,
right.
Can I get the Wi-Fi?
Oh, yes. Let's see. We have community center public.
Okay.
And I actually am not connected to community center staff, so I couldn't tell you what that one is.
Community Center Public seems to be working today.
Nice.
I just connected to it.
Yeah.
Sometimes I can't. Today I can.
You just tell Rab to connect via the email.
I did get your email. There.
Okay. Okay, admit and
Sweet.
let me make sure that
Yeah, I mean, I think this is the big one.
yeah, this should capture everything. And then let me just make sure you can share your screen. And then Melody, I see you. Yeah, I think you should be able to. Great.
All right, I'll call the meeting to order at 6:48 p.m. And then we will go around, saying who we are, so that the note taker can catch us, and it's also our roll call. Melody Baumhover here. Erica Thorley here.
Tim Rader here. Rich Orman here.
Cass Grady here.
Lyle Antio here.
Jafar Makrani here.
Patrick Kivlin here.
I think we missed titles in that.
We did.
Yeah, I do that.
We could probably do that too.
That just pertains to you all.
Yeah.
Anyone who's not a board member.
I'm four on the board.
Okay.
Yeah. I'm staff with the town sustainability coordinator.
I'm part of the University of Colorado capstone team that's working with Cass Grady and Britt DeMink to support the SAB and a resilience action plan. There's three of us.
Very cool. Yep, Lyle Antio. So I'm the CTO co-founder at Agami Zero.
Yeah, Jafar Makrani, co-founder and CEO at Agami Zero.
Great.
Thank you.
Before you guys start, just so you know who we are and why you're here, why we invited you. The Board of Trustees, which is the governing legislature, for lack of a better word, of this town, has several advisory boards, and we are the advisory board on sustainability issues. So that is why I think originally your communications were sent to us. We have no power. We have no authority. All we can do is advise the board. So just so you know that, we will say something to the board, no doubt. But you should understand what our role is.
Sounds good. Appreciate it.
Before we get started, I'd like to make a request to adjust the agenda for tonight slightly, to have a discussion as a board about changing our name to more inclusive. So I think sustainability has evolved a lot, and I think that we could add some more terms to our title of our advisory board to be more inclusive of what we actually cover and what we do. So happy to hear if others don't want to talk about that, if we want to talk about it in a future meeting, but I think it could just be a quick discussion to get it started. But I think it's a timely and an important thing for the evolution of sustainability in Netherlands.
My thought is, let's see what we have time for
Okay.
with the existing agenda
Sure.
and see how it goes. If we're running late, we might have to put it off to another day. That's what I'm
Okay.
saying.
I think we could fit in some at least touching on it, at least during our goals section, if nothing else, because I think that's part of that, like the vision of our future board.
Minutes.
November meeting minutes. Those are the ones I had so far in the drive to approve, although I think we also need to do. Oh, no, because January we didn't have a quorum. So there are minutes from January, but we didn't have quorum, so we can also approve those, but that's up to folks. I guess I need a motion or
I think like,
move to push it to next meeting.
I think the November meeting minutes can be like posted on Civic Web if they're approved, but probably won't post the December or January. Just because we didn't have quorum.
I move that we put it off to the next meeting.
I'd second that.
I call for vote.
Yeah,
I guess I can do that since I'm co-chair. Call for a vote. Nelly?
approved, yes.
I guess, hey, who's not? in
Yeah.
favor?
Yeah, who,
But that's just who's not in favor.
No, we have to do it that way. We were told we actually have to.
oh,
Really?
really?
I support.
You don't have many
In
action
favor.
items.
All right, motion passes.
Okay.
Moving on to our first item, beyond that then, the hydrogen EV charger pilot program with Agami Zero.
Yeah, thanks for inviting us up here.
Yeah.
So I'm Lyle, I'm co-founder of Farm. So we're here to talk about our off-grid EV fast charging pilot. So just a little background. Let me move this out of the way too.
Can you speak up a little bit? I just want to
I
make
sure
sure
can.
Al gets it.
I absolutely can. We both are automotive engineers by trade. And from inside the industry, we saw that EV adoption was kind of outpacing charging infrastructure. And one of the big problems, especially here in the Western US, is that 50% of land isn't connected to the high power grid necessary for fast charging. Come on, there we go. Okay, so here's like the transmission line map of Colorado. Netherlands definitely in the big dead zone. A couple other key towns that are kind of in the same boat: Winter Park, Crested Butte, Telluride, and then Walden is a big dead zone for EV charging. But the issue is building transmission line costs in mountainous regions cost between $1.5 and $3 million per mile, which just isn't feasible for a lot of areas. We did quite a bit of customer discovery throughout the state. And essentially everyone is trying to expand their EV charging offerings, but a lot of communities can't with what's available. So that's where our technology comes into play. Essentially, our system is fully off grid. Essentially, we take liquid hydrogen, convert it using a fuel cell to DC battery energy storage, and then use that energy stored in the battery to charge electric vehicles through DC fast charging. And so full deployment, we're looking at a 350 kilowatt fast charging system that's deployable within a month, potentially even sooner, just depending on lead times for slabs and whatnot. But essentially, all of our equipment can be set up within a week. So this is kind of what we're looking at for a pilot: single stall, dual port, single fast charger. And our system will have roughly 100 kilograms of liquid hydrogen. It'll be a slightly slower DC fast charging offering, 120 kilowatt charging. Still significantly faster than any type of level 2 system. And our goals are tech validation, understand user experience, and we're targeting one site initially, and then we plan to deploy 2 additional sites. We've been working with the state of Colorado, Department of Oil and Gas, Department of Labor.
Division of Oil and Public.
Yeah, exactly. And they're handling basically all state level hydrogen infrastructure projects. And essentially our system will be permitted as a gas station. So it makes deployment quite easy. Yeah. And so you're probably wondering, how are we going to get this hydrogen? So right now there's a pretty robust hydrogen infrastructure transportation infrastructure because of aerospace. Liquid hydrogen is used as a rocket propellant for second stage. There's a ton of rocket testing that happens in Golden and Fort Collins. So we've talked to a few transportation companies that have confirmed that Netherland won't be an issue kind of as a stop along the way down to Golden. So that's kind of our immediate sourcing plan. But the issue is that hydrogen is gray hydrogen. It comes from steam methane reforming from oil and gas. So our long-term plan is completely renewably generated green hydrogen. But unfortunately, right now it's just too expensive. So we're working with a partnership with a CU lab to develop some more efficient electrolyzers with the plan to deploy that within 7 years. But in the interim, we'll work to kind of integrate more like blue hydrogen into the mix, work with some more companies other than these two big transportation companies. But yeah, so that's what our plan looks like long term. And we're also not the only ones in this space, but we are the only ones kind of doing this liquid hydrogen powered EV charging. These companies are doing gaseous hydrogen, but it's, as I mentioned, we're kind of uniquely positioned in a state where liquid hydrogen has a big supply. So yeah, tapping into that initiative. Yeah.
So yeah, like, the reason why liquid hydrogen gives like, kind of technological advantage, first and foremost is the permitting aspect. So liquid hydrogen has been around for more than 7 decades. NASA was the first one in 1960s, developed this technology. So that side has been matured pretty like, like production level. So the components are available off the shelf. And like Lal mentioned, the supply chain is robust. And thanks to like, this aerospace industry, it leverages us like, strategically kind of like position this technology to kind of like, move from pilot to like, having kind of a actual deployment really faster. So this technological advantage kind of like, solves many issues on other hands. So gaseous hydrogen, the reason for not using it, because the storage is like, very complicated. It has to be stored at like 5,000 or 10,000 PSI. And in the state of Colorado, there hasn't been any standards or permitting codes developed for those kind of storage technology. So having this liquid hydrogen based systems allows us to have like, seamless permitting as well as several other technological advantage.
So they have to be heavily refrigerated?
Yeah, cryogenic. So like I said, like this technology has been matured pretty much. So the cryogenic tanks that are available right now, they can handle the boil off or the like, they can maintain the temperature of that liquid phase pretty much like several days, more than a week. But there are like, some boil off of the hydrogen involved, but our system kind of covers that boil off management and certain aspects.
Yeah, so it's essentially like very heavily vacuum insulated. So it holds its temperature, for long duration. And then of course, some of the energy that goes into generating electricity for DC fast charging would be used to continue to refrigerate. But yeah.
So,
Yeah.
I see solar panels there and the ideas for off-grid. Then I assume that the system that you have designed is sufficient to maintain the temperature in the cryogenic tank.
Exactly.
There's a battery backup, I'm assuming also, or
Yeah.
if the sun doesn't shine?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well,
Overnight?
so there's no, there is solar just for like supplemental, miners will generate, 500 watts of power just to have it. But I mean, essentially all the energy for the system is coming from the hydrogen.
Oh, so the hydrogen. Okay, so the hydrogen is used to generate electricity through a fuel cell.
Exactly.
The fuel cell then in turn powers the cryogenic system to keep the hydrogen cold.
Exactly.
Okay.
And also about,
Yeah, the reason why we are using battery, fuel cell alone can't power high current application. Like on the startup phase, it kind of slows down. So it takes at least like 10 minutes to ramp up. So battery kind of give us like peak shaving capability. So the kind of like operation is kind of like robust. anyone can just like come at any time and charge the vehicle and use it. Yeah.
Now, it's obviously really flammable.
Yes.
And you talk about boil off, and I mean, boil is still a very low temperature boil, right?
Yes.
Talking a couple 100 degrees below zero probably where it boils.
Exactly.
But what is the fire risk for this? Because I think that's the safety issue is going to be key, right? So especially, you know, if it's in an area like this where fire can be a really big deal.
Right, absolutely.
So why don't you talk about that?
Sure, sure. So firstly, the system is mostly closed loop. So essentially, like in order to do the fuel cell conversion, we need to change the state to gaseous. So essentially, we're capturing all that boil off hydrogen in kind of some buffer tanks, and then using that to convert to electricity. And then we'll have very robust hydrogen monitoring systems, redundant systems that will close off any hydrogen lines if there's any leak detected.
Exactly. And the system design will cover like, you know, the standards and codes on the federal level. Or from ASME V31.8 as well as the CFR something 94 part 130 something. So those covers like, you know, the system design. So we can't like, you know, have our like own kind of like requirements. So it has to follow. So the permit requires those standards to be followed on the system.
I guess my thought is, I understand how the system is going to work and be safe and all that. But let's say someone like drives a truck into it,
Right.
or something like that. There's a really bad accident involved, or there's a fire nearby anyway, and then it just catches on fire. Or
Right.
something like that. What's the risk there?
Yeah.
Yeah, in those kind of events, the only like option is to release the hydrogen, which is stored in gaseous form into the atmosphere, so it doesn't like, you know, catches fire.
Yeah.
So it's a requirement from those federal codes.
But if there's a fire going on.
Yeah.
And then you're releasing hydrogen into the atmosphere, could that exacerbate the fire? I guess is a question.
Kind of like, you know, the surrounding area that we have to measure, we have to cover like, you know, certain distances. So in case of like, you know, it catches fire, it would be kind of like, you know, take at least some time to propagate to another like, you know, boundary. And what call the local fire jurisdiction, they would have like entry of our kind of this application. So in case this happens, they would know like, you know, what to do in this kind of events.
And would they need special training or equipment to deal with hydrogen fire?
I think an NFPA chapter 2 that covers this hydrogen codes. So fire department already like, you know, they're trained to handle this gas. Yeah.
Yeah, in a way, it's very similar to propane. And it's kind of similar type of like keep out zones as like is propane storage. And I see that there's some propane tanks in town. Yeah. So I mean, I understand it's a big concern probably, but in
so-
the scenario.
Have you identified any locations where you might be interested in putting this?
Yeah, we have a couple. I mean, so with a DC fast charger, one of the benefits, so this is kind of a rough layout, you know, 35 feet by 20 feet. But I'm sorry. But essentially, like we'd like to be, ideally, we want drivers to be able to walk to get coffee, or you know, right? So these are kind of some two, I think, ideal locations. One at the visitor center. I saw that there's already some level 2 charging there, and then also, you know, by the is it the BNF,
The grocery store.
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly, the grocery store. Yeah, I mean, ideally something that's like relatively close to downtown, but you know, there's of course considerations with having a big explosive.
You know, all that area about BNF is going to be private property.
Yeah, I was wondering about that.
Yeah. And I don't know about the visitor center area. It's probably a mixture, right?
Yeah.
Private, public property.
I think it's a town owned law.
Yeah. So
And I saw
I
that.
just know this town.
Yeah.
And the people in it.
Sure.
And I agree with you about having people being able to go get coffee when they charge their car.
Yeah.
Right. I have an electric car. I understand that. I think that people in this town are gonna be reluctant to put something like a hydrogen powered car charger really close to other buildings or residences or stuff like that.
Can understand.
Even if it's 100% safe, and I have no reason to think it isn't based on what you're saying. I would think that we would need a more remote location. Now, I don't mean like remote, like out in the forest
yeah.
necessarily or something like that. But I think the center of town is going to be a hard sell for something like a pilot project of this nature.
Sure.
I don't know if anyone else disagrees with that.
I don't disagree, but I think that there could be messaging about how similar it is to a propane tank.
Sure.
Right? And really making that clearer. Just because it's something people don't know a lot about.
Right.
And I think the fear would come from malinformation, you know, or lacking
You're talking about
information,
better.
totally, right? So yeah, I don't disagree, but I would say I'm probably not as skeptical that people wouldn't research to understand it. I mean, I have talked with several folks about hydrogen powered energy devices in this town, so I don't think we're necessarily, you know, totally against it. There are folks in this town that have been focusing on alternative energy sources like this, so it's possible that we could see some support as well.
I'm not against it at all. I can.
No, I understand. yeah.
I just have seen lots of things happen in the number of years I've been here, and the things that become controversial and the way.
How would
people react to
you-
things.
How would you feel about placement by like Gercio Field?
That's what I was.
That's the kind of what I was thinking. Yeah,
I think that would be very reasonable.
Positively
Yeah.
accepted.
know where that is.
yeah.
Yeah, right, yeah.
Yeah.
How does it look? Is there, I mean, people that are driving their car, their EVs, I don't think they'd have an issue having to walk around the park, but would they be able to walk to?
It's 5-minute walk to a coffee shop.
Easy.
First,
Yeah.
it is 2 blocks.
Okay.
At most, like that's a hefty.
I think that checks the box.
You can walk, there's
Also,
the general store and everything. I mean, there's stuff really close by there. And it's actually a pretty nice spot. You got the lake there, you
Got
got,
the tap all around the lake.
yeah.
And it's right off the highway as far as charging, so when they want to get, you know, back on to go back to Boulder or whatever, it's, you know, easy.
Winter Park has a level 3 just before Tabernash.
Yeah.
And it's right at a lake and a park and a path. And
Mm-hmm.
it's really nice. And you could walk to like the grocery store. It's not that far. It's probably far enough to like disincentivize you to, but I feel like this is even closer.
It's in town. I mean, in fact, I think you would find that when you have really crowded parking in town, like for the farmer's market and stuff, you're having people park down there and walking into the town anyway. So it's, it's not, that is not an issue. So I love that idea. What about removal? So when this is over,
Yeah.
the town is going to want it placed in the same state it was beforehand.
Yeah, so I mean, ultimately, like, we need a slab of concrete, and then we can place everything on top of that. So, you know, if you need us to take up the concrete, that we can absolutely take care of
It
that.
might.
And that's fine. Yeah, so that's all within the scope, and I didn't mention it, but this pilot's completely free.
I'll
Well-
talk to Boulder about it if it's that close to Barker too.
Yeah, we could definitely talk to Boulder. What I was thinking was about ADA accessibility. Like, is that a requirement for
I
this
think any
project?
new EV
Yeah.
charging requires,
So considering that, like there's fewer options than near Gercio, just in terms of what I understand to be like ADA accessible and then needing the 35 by 20 feet. There's also the visitor center. You're right, we do have a level 2 charger there. The level 3 charger that's there has never worked properly, and it was installed in 2022, I believe. So we are trying to figure out a way to either replace that charger or get it working, and getting it working has not worked. So I just wanted to say that could be an option still, because we still don't have a working level 3 charger there. That is a good question because there's all that space, kind of in the corner. But then where the current like level 3 charger is, if you take that out, you might have enough space there in the corner
How
of the
big
lot.
what's the footprint? I mean, we can see we saw the picture, but
Yeah, we're looking at like 20 by 35.
20 by what?
20 feet by 35 feet?
Yeah,
I
just
think
for,
that's a little too much space.
Makes
That's
it
not-
Hey. Cass, I just wanted to add that corner, they do plow snow there, so just keep that in mind.
Oh, okay.
that's good to know.
The other
Okay.
thing to think about is if there's already electricity for level 3, it's probably more advantageous to put a level 3 there than anywhere else.
True.
Just because power is gonna be the challenging.
that's-
cost.
Yeah.
You know, if Wild Bear was up and running at the new location, I would say the perfect location would be up there.
They're gonna put in 2 level 2 chargers, I
Right.
believe.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is that area up there, even on the
Yeah.
roadway.
Oh, by
Yeah,
Caribou.
up by
Road.
there would be a great location. Frankly,
Well, you could propose your pilot project to them if, you know, town does not want to do something.
or
like
you or you
their
could
private
post
property, they can do what they want, right?
a really great
That's true.
place. To me, someone just mentioned it sort of. Would be, and it would be remote. There is electricity up there, but it would be remote.
Mhm.
Is the parking area up by the old Caribou Ghost Town. I don't know if you're familiar with that area.
I've done a little bit of skiing up
If
there.
you really want to put something somewhere where people are gonna notice it as, hey, we can put this anywhere.
Yeah.
I think, you know, now that's Boulder County
Yeah, that's not.
and it's also a lot of private property. I'm not sure if the parking lot is Boulder County or Grand Isle or not.
Do you know where he's
Yeah,
talking about?
So, yeah.
I'm pretty sure he's talking about all the way up there,
Okay. Yeah,
which
it's
is like very remote.
get a lot less traffic.
Yeah, for a pilot, that might not be the greatest spot,
Camping,
yeah.
Plug in your car because there's no electricity and so to me, that's like a place where people can see.
Oh, yeah, it is
You
way
have
up
a
there.
beautiful
Yeah.
photograph of it in the middle of this sort of wilderness area. Maybe a really good publicity area, I think, too.
Yeah,
Because people go up there a lot.
Mud Lake has the same ownership probably as Mud Lake.
Mud Lake,
Is-
that's Boulder County open space.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So those are two certainly good options.
Yeah, I would say just with the ADA accessibility piece, like a lot of these are dirt lots, so you'd have to pave part of it if you want to have it ADA accessible.
Totally. Yeah, what is this? Is this whole, everything around, like Greco, sorry, I'm mispronouncing the name of the field, but
Oh, Garcio?
Garcia Field.
Mhm.
Is this road around it all dirt?
It is, so East Street is paved and then the like that's basically a
It's like a
walking
path.
path like around it. Yeah. And then the Teens Inc. parking lot, which is to the south, is paved.
Okay.
And then I think, Britt, do you know if we own the dirt lot next to the wetland area?
That is, I have never gotten clear direction. I think it's ours, but I'm not 100% sure. I can find that out right now.
Find out right now.
What about just the Barker Reservoir parking?
That is
That's
Boulder.
Vehicle.
Not to say that we couldn't partner with Boulder and do that, but it'd be another step in the process.
Sure.
Does the Caribou parking lot get much action during the winter?
The,
By the 505, yeah, cross-country skiing. I
Downhill?
mean, not so much
AT.
this year.
yeah, backcountry for sure.
Space,
I mostly see cross,
River Ranch.
but yes.
Caribou, yeah,
We're talking about the old ghost town, but Caribou Ranch is,
Snow.
but the thing about Caribou Ranch is it is closed for pretty substantial portions of the year because.
Oh, that trailhead, yeah.
April 1st, I think, through October 1st. something like that.
And it's definitely not, you know, ADA accessible or.
It's also the rink, the rink lot, which
Which
is
I think
also
it-
dirt, but
Yeah, pavement stops just before.
yeah.
You go that far.
And I assume you all will cover insurance, so
Yes,
the town would have no responsibility.
yes.
Exactly.
What about?
Yeah, business liability and yeah, every sort of like, fire insurance and sort of stuff.
What about
Chipeta would be-
Chipeta Park? Do we have an ADA space at Chipeta?
Yeah, we do.
Is it paved?
No.
No.
But it's ADA labeled.
Yeah, I don't know. Chipeta is to the southwest of Gercio on the other side of the creek.
Those
Yeah.
spots right there, are ADA labeled. like, right by, to the north of the tree on the right side. of it.
Yeah. So I wonder about like ADA for EV chargers though, if there's different code requirements.
We can get back to you on that.
Yeah, if it has to be paved, it would certainly limit our options.
Or we'd have to do some paving.
It's pretty easy to pave a few spots though.
It is, it's just, it's always weird to me when you see the one handicap spot paved and the rest of the dirt lot. It's
That's at the library, right?
awkward
Oh, yeah.
vision.
Yeah.
At the library.
Yeah.
Yeah,
People get used to
I
it.
understand
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
It's better than paving the whole thing, but
Yeah.
And would you all pay for the paving?
Yeah, we can do that. I mean,
Yeah, it would be additional cost, but during this pilot, we have to do it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like we can't offer for. So we need. I think that's exactly right.
I think you guys should take a look at that area.
Yeah,
See
yeah.
if you
Sure.
can do it.
Yeah, we'll check it out.
I think the spots by Gercia would be easy to pave if there isn't a paved one on the front there. Cause the
Mhm.
street is paved at least,
Right, right. And I
you
think
know,
That's
the
true.
big thing is like, we'll also need, we need access for the truck that'll take
Yep.
the hydrant, right?
Right.
So it's advantageous for us to be like relatively close to the street.
Mhm.
So yeah, I mean, if this is already paved, that would be pretty ideal for us.
What's the most frequent refueling?
there's
you
already a
have
bunch
to
of
do?
propane tanks there.
That's fine.
They said every 2 to 3 months you're gonna,
We're looking at like probably twice a month. So every 2 weeks. I mean, that's, we're
depending on usage.
Yeah.
depending on usage, and we're also like still honing the size of the tank. It's of course like a larger size tank that's refilled less often is going to be cheaper to refill because you have the majority of your cost is transportation, right? So yeah, we're still trying to optimize that, but
And the truck that does the refilling looks like a propane truck.
yeah, it's a semi truck with like a 30-foot trailer.
So it's bigger than a regular.
Yeah.
propane.
Actually, I haven't seen what the propane delivered on, but yeah, they do
Well,
have
it's-
smaller trucks, but the ones that Airgas uses,
Like a gas fuel truck,
it does.
like the kind you see driving.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And I'm assuming that's probably what refills the gas station up here too.
Yeah, for sure. Um,
We kind of derailed your presentation
Okay.
too, so I don't know if there's any other slides you wanted to go through.
I mean, like, we can show you our advisory board and everything, but I think we're.
I think,
Okay.
my suggestion, which I think is, the best way to go for you guys, is for you all to really examine these 2 spots that we've talked about.
Yeah, definitely.
The I'll call it a baseball field, but there's no backstop. The field.
Yeah.
And, that little parking lot, that by the little fake wetland, artificial wetland that we created.
The Chipeta Park,
Uh,
or is it different?
No, he's talking about both sections near Gercio.
but you
So
might be in it.
the
Let's not do cheap.
the dirt lot is
What people say
That
about
one.
the pump.
Oh, nice. Yeah.
and then
Sweet.
People have
Yeah.
real emotional reactions to
Probably
doing anything. with
up where
training.
those cars are for the other
Maybe
spots.
this
Yeah,
would be less.
we'll take a look at it.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll also touch base with our
So that-
hydrogen transportation, make sure the road,
Good
they'd be able to handle it, but
So
I can't imagine there'd be any issues.
I think what we would need, and I'm not saying you guys need to come back to us, but I think what we would need to be able to go to the board.
Yeah.
Would be like a firm proposal of at one of these 2 spots, you probably need like a satellite overlay. It's gonna take this much space. You might even wanna have a little AI creation of, here's a picture of what we imagine it'll look like
Sure.
on the site. And at that point, I mean, I would be assuming, there's no problems with it. I would be like really happy saying to the board, we were presenting this to you for your consideration.
Yeah. It's a cool technology. I mean, it's a cool idea.
I do want to talk a bit more about the timeline.
Yeah.
That's okay.
Sure, absolutely.
So I guess what is your timeline for like when it'll probably be installed? Well, I guess that kind of depends on when we say okay as well. But I guess like how much time before it's like ready, and then also like how long will it be in place, and what happens after?
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. So I think we're targeting like a fall deployment. There's a few pieces on our end, that kind of change that a little bit, but that's the kind of what we're targeting. And then, so our proposed duration, initially, we were kind of proposing this for like a ski resort. So initially we were like, we were like suggesting 8 to 10 months. But I think really anywhere between 6 months and a year, is kind of, gives us the kind of, honestly, I think a year is probably the ideal, like, deployment length, given the fact that we want to see trends of, like, how well it's utilized. So that's really our target. So yeah, it's fall 26 or fall 27. And then after the pilot, there would be an option to extend the pilot if you guys are interested. Also replace the pilot with like the pilot site with like a larger system that can charge 6 vehicles. Timeline around that is still a little more up in the air.
Yep.
Yeah.
And then do you think, like, I know that you previously had said that it would be free charging
Yeah.
for folks. Do you think, like, after the year pilot, that's when you maybe incorporate some sort of like payment so that if we do choose to go ahead with it, and extend it past the pilot, if there's any like costs for us for maintenance or anything,
Sure.
we could.
Yeah, absolutely. So, yeah, like, after this pilot, we are trying to, like, include real estate investors. So they will own this site, but the entire, like, site will be kind of like, considered as a piece of real estate. So town will get, like, payment, rent payment, and as a company we'll cover, like, all the maintenance for those investors and hydrogen supply. So this is what we are envisioning after this pilot.
And so is your end goal is to have a number of such stations
Exactly.
throughout
Right.
the state or whatever,
Mhm.
and as a for-profit
Right.
organization.
Exactly.
Yeah, so you guys would be eventually charging, and then you would pay the town rent for the space you're leasing from us.
Absolutely.
Exactly.
You guys have an estimate on the cost and kind of minimum or maximum?
So the full size deployment is with, like, three DC fast charging unit, meaning like 6 plugs. So for that, like, site, kind of like per square feet, maybe I don't know what the standard rate is. So whatever the standard rate comes down to be, that would be the
Generate for like an equivalent for electricity?
no. You're asking like how much we're gonna pay as a rent for the town?
No, I was thinking for the
How many people finally are in the business of
Exactly.
charging?
an important part for us would also be, having an equitable rate
Right.
for our residents and visitors.
Makes sense.
No, absolutely.
Yes.
So we're targeting like essentially the going rate of DC fast chargers. So our target right now is like 45 cents per kilowatt hour. And that's one thing. So I should mention this, like we plan to have like the first half of the pilot be a free kind of exploratory thing. And then the second half is when we kind of explore the various, like what's acceptable for charging rates. So because that's gonna be a big piece. It's like, if this is the only option in the area, like what's reasonable to charge? But of course, we don't want it to cost $100 to fill up your EV.
But you also need to make money so that you
Correct.
can maintain the units.
That's exactly
Stay in business, yeah.
so there's definitely a balance there.
I had a question about the energy disposal or dispense. You had mentioned that the battery would initially start because it took a while to ramp up the hydrogen for electricity production.
Exactly.
So what does that look like as far as a curve or a chart?
Mhm.
Because 10 minutes is a long time with a level 3 charger.
Mhm.
We have vehicles that can charge 80% in 25 minutes,
Right.
right?
Yeah. So
And 10 minutes of that is going to be charging at a very low rate, because that
Exactly.
really changes that level 3 charging experience.
absolutely. So think of it as like an engine, like car engine. So like, when you put the gas pedal, it just like slowly ramps up the power. It happens. The same thing happens with the fuel cell. So once you supply the hydrogen, the reaction takes place inside the fuel cell. So it takes some time for all the hydrogen to come to certain level. to supply the electricity, the amount of voltage that we need.
Yeah, but from the
Yeah.
user's experience, like all of the electricity that's going to the car is coming from the battery pack ultimately.
Battery, yeah.
So essentially, like, the battery pack will always sit at a range between like 40% and like 100% state of charge. So it'll always have enough energy to charge a vehicle. And then essentially, like, it's most efficient to operate these fuel cells at like pretty low power output. So essentially, we'll be trickle charging the battery pack with the hydrogen as much as we can. And then like when it kind of needs to be charged more quickly, then we'll run that fuel cell at a higher rate. But yeah, I don't know if that answers your question.
So then what is the battery using on lithium?
Yeah, it's like lithium iron phosphate battery.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then is it dispensing at the same levels of the 250?
Yes,
Exactly. Yeah,
absolutely.
exactly.
How large a battery then?
For the full size deployment, we're looking at like probably megawatt size. Megawatt,
Okay.
right? It's quite large. For this pilot, we're looking at probably like 300 to 400 kilowatt hours.
Okay. Interesting.
So somebody charges their car and that battery goes down low. Second person comes up, charges their car. How long do you have to like how long does it take to recharge that battery?
Yeah. So it's a good question. I mean, ultimately it comes down to fuel cell sizing. So right now we have sized the fuel cell to essentially be able to charge at 80 kilowatts. So essentially, like worst case scenario, fuel cell's warm, we can charge the car essentially directly from that fuel cell.
Yeah.
But there's still some optimization we have to do in terms of like understanding the I guess refractory period of the battery. But yeah, I mean, essentially, like as long as there's energy in the system, as long as there's still hydrogen, there will never be downtime for a vehicle.
And also the way we are designing the battery, it's like what you call segmented. So it's not like entire 350 kilowatt stack is all going to like charge all the EVs.
Mhm.
So it's like segmented in a way. So one section goes down, another is ready to take off.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it's kind of
And the one that's empty is charging in the
Exactly.
background
Yeah,
from the hydrogen.
exactly. Right.
So I see this as a pretty incredible resilience strategy for the town, especially, wildfire risk, Cold Springs fire. We were out of power for 5 days. I'm working now.
Mhm.
And one thing I should mention that our system, if in case requires for the town, it can act as a backup power generator. So it can supply the electricity to town as well.
How would it be set up for that?
Within this pilot, we can't change our system design, but in our future iteration, we're gonna include this capability. So in case if there is a very remote location, so people can at least have 120 volt output. So it's like similar to RV station kind of like output, like those generators that have those kind of like plugs. So similar to that. Yeah. Absolutely.
So in the future, it could be handy to have an installation like the community center, because that's kind of our resiliency center
Yeah,
here.
absolutely.
Or the fire
Well,
station.
We technically have the microgrid at the community center, but
Mhm.
it's not confirmed that it's working correctly. So maybe we will want to replace it.
Do we have anything else for these gentlemen? Anything else you want to say to us? Because we don't want to monopolize your evening.
I just want to say generally, I'm excited. I encourage you guys to keep moving forward, no matter where your conversations with town go. And this is a really cool new technology. I think it would be great for Netherlands to be a pilot community to help with something.
Yeah.
I find it very exciting. I think all of us do. So
Yeah.
please come back to us with specific sites
Absolutely.
and I would love to see it happen.
So something that they did ask us about was a letter of intent,
Yeah.
right? And I believe that would be something that the Board of Trustees would have to sign,
Okay.
but it's non-binding.
Correct.
Um,
Yeah, it's essentially something we can bring to investors.
I think we would need to see exactly where you want it,
100%,
or
yeah.
we would recommend to the board that they do that. But yeah, obviously.
I would also recommend to you guys to reach out to Boulder County and to see if they have any open space properties that they'd be interested in piloting and exploring
Definitely.
kind of simultaneously, just to see kind of what your options are.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of locations around Meadowlands that are open space, Boulder County owns land, and it would be really neat to proposition them.
Yeah, absolutely. Do you have anyone in mind, that?
I would
you
reach out to the Oscar
Okay.
team and that director Susie Strive.
Okay.
And she can put you in touch with the right person, but I think it would be cool to go through that perspective.
Awesome. Yeah, we definitely.
Hey, you guys. It's a great.
Thanks, you guys.
Yes, so
Yeah,
much.
thanks.
Thanks for coming.
Yeah, absolutely.
Good job.
Thanks, Lexi.
Guys, rest your meetings.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thanks.
Next on the agenda, I think, is subcommittee updates.
Yep, and I wasn't sure what subcommittees were gonna be represented here, so I see zero waste, and then I have a small update on the mine if folks who submitted comments didn't already get it.
Yeah,
And then I think that's it. for Subcommittee updates, I guess.
yeah.
Okay, so I'll start with the small update, which is, the mining board decided that they weren't gonna accept the amendment. We saw that announced a few weeks ago. So, that means that they're proceeding then to a hearing on the original application documents. So that is everything that was submitted prior to January 5th, 2026. And if you submitted a public comment, you can claim party status by attending the pre-hearing conference and the hearing, which just basically means you get a chance to possibly ask questions, submit evidence, and really just speak on behalf of, a community member that's impacted by it. So if you don't attend those things, you have to get special permission to still be a party. So just know if you made a comment and you don't go, you're forfeiting your party status. I would say that Boulder County and City of Boulder will probably have a pretty big presence there and do a really great job at questions and evidence and all that. But I encourage folks to go.
And John,
We have a date.
Oh, yeah, and John said he's gonna be there for town, hopefully with the lawyer. May 2nd, I think, is the pre-hearing conference. If I'm correct.
I do not remember the time.
But if anybody wants the letter that Patrick Lenenberg sent me, I can forward it to the SAB email. Yeah.
Great.
All right, zero waste subcommittee. I mean, I was there too.
Yeah, so with the zero waste subcommittee, the main topic that we discussed was the large special events permit, the zero waste section of that. And at the meeting, essentially I brought up some of the recommendations and concerns that the certain organizer who reached out about changing this application brought up. And so some of the things that we discussed were, so one item I have written down is asking PACE to make signs for the events and vendors. So PACE is Partners for a Clean Environment, part of Boulder County, and they help businesses and food trucks and such get electrification rebates, and they also could be a resource for just making signs and things for these event vendors, especially if they are doing events in more of Boulder County. That wasn't really related to the agreement, to the permit, but that was an idea that came up. We also talked about compostable materials and recyclable materials for serving food. And so this is something where we can, encourage that those materials be used, and recyclable materials that are recyclable in Boulder County specifically. And then we said, I think that we wanted to encourage compost collection because we have the composting unit. So we can write that it's expected that you compost if you are offering food at your event, essentially. And then the last thing, the biggest piece was the vendor agreement. So we talked about wanting to be sure that each vendor reads through and agrees to the zero waste protocols, because if it's just the event organizer reading through it and not the vendors themselves, then we can't be sure that the vendors understand, you know, what our kind of rules are. And so one of the thoughts was to have a Google form for each vendor. So very similar to what this event organizer was proposing for the full permit being online. We would have a Google form and each vendor would essentially check, yes, I have read and agree to this, and then they'd sign off. And so then it's something that they have to do in order to participate at the event. The other idea was to still have the same guidelines that we have currently, and then the organizer is the one who is essentially getting those signatures, which is what is happening right now. And then they would send the names of the vendors that they're using and basically say, yes, we did get their signatures on this agreement, and send that to the town. So that is something that one organizer did last year. She got all of the agreements and then just sent us a spreadsheet saying, like, all of these are all the ones that we got. Because they had like a lot of vendors at their event. So that is just a couple ways to like ensure that the vendors are actually agreeing to the checklist that we have. I was going to suggest to this organizer, because they're currently updating the permit essentially, and then that I think is going to be kind of reviewed by the town and by like Nikki, because she's the parks manager. She's the one that kind of runs everything. And so I was going to suggest kind of those two options that I said, either the individual Google form, or doing a spreadsheet of all the vendors that agreed, just to like streamline things for the event organizer. What do you all think about either of those options? Do you have strong opposition to either? Do you not really have a preference?
So I talked with an event organizer.
Yeah.
For a totally different matter, and this came up. And I understand now better kind of what the hurdle is, and I think
Okay.
the hurdle is that the vendors are signing agreements to agree to the festival rules, and within those festival rules are zero waste rules. So then there's also an additional form that calls out just the zero waste rules, confirming, yes, you agree.
Mm.
And I think I see both sides of it. I understand why we want that second confirmation, because we want to make sure that the vendors are being educated. And then also I understand for events who have demonstrated good capability of performing zero waste well, they're like, why do we have to keep doing this? So I think I see both sides, and I was thinking about this the other day of like, maybe there is if you don't provide the zero waste form as signed by the vendors, or that's hard copy or Google form, doesn't matter to me, then it must be clearly highlighted in your event rules, those same policies, and that those vendors sign to agree to it that way.
So are the event rules like what the organizer is already giving the vendor?
Yeah.
And so that's not a town created document, right? Okay. So essentially the duplication, or the two different forms that they're signing, one is from the organizer, one is from town, but the organizer may already have the zero waste rules in their own, I guess, rules for the event.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I guess.
And I don't know if that requires even changing the forms or changing the policies as much as just event organizers who did one year and did really good the next year. You can be like,
Yeah.
hey, if you have our zero waste policies that you already know about included in your general rules, and they have to be signed by all the vendors.
Yeah.
Rather than just a document that's available on your website, right? There's kind of
Yeah.
a difference there. But if your vendors are actually signing a document that they have to read first, and those rules are in there, I think that accomplishes the same purpose as what we have now.
I think so.
Yeah, because
Yeah,
it's,
I think so. So you're saying that whatever they give to their vendor, if they incorporate our rules, then we're good, right?
Yeah, and so I'm thinking about like specifically the farmer's market. The way it's set up is you send in an application and you sign the application. And in
Mhm.
that process, you're given the rules and regulations to read. But you don't actually sign a contract saying, I agree to abide by these rules and regulations.
You don't sign,
as part of the farmer's market.
I mean, I think you agree to that when you actually are admitted and you make your payment and all that goes through, but as just an applicant,
oh,
I'm not so sure. Whereas with Ned Jazz Wine, I know all of them sign a form
Hmm.
to participate in the event that has those zero waste rules in it. So that's kind of the difference, is I just want to make sure that the vendors' eyeballs are actually on those policies.
Yeah.
How do we make sure that happens? Because I think that's the intent of the form that we have now.
Yeah, and I want it to be the same like across the board, you know, I don't want it to be like, well, for this event, this happens, and then for that event, that happens,
there.
because then the
To the right, to the
institutional,
right, to the right.
oh, Britt, are you muted? It's okay.
Ah,
Britt, I'm gonna mute you.
sorry.
Okay.
Yeah, because it needs to be
Yeah.
consistent. It needs to be
Yeah.
able to transfer from
And
staff
when-
to staff
yeah.
without people needing to have knowledge of.
If someone takes over
particulars.
for Nikki, they don't want to like have to figure out how each event was done. Yeah,
I feel really strongly that the less that it's on staff to
Yeah.
manage, the better.
hmm
And I feel like if you're an event coordinator, you take on that responsibility.
Mhm.
With full disclosure that it's complicated, there's a lot
Yeah.
of pieces to navigate, it's not straightforward. New vendors are gonna take more time to educate and bring along, but I wouldn't want to see that additional form be something like you or Nikki had to go through and like manage.
Yeah, and so right now that is the case, like basically I have to sign off on the permit, like all the different you know, like the fire department has to sign off on it. I think BCSO has to sign off on it. And so it is like for certain things, like having an emergency plan, that needs to be very specific for your event, you know? For having a zero waste plan, like yes, specific to your event, but in terms of like how you agree to it, I don't think that needs to like be signed off necessarily by me. And I think that maybe in the language we already have in the permit, we can say like the event organizer is, and it might already say this, actually, I'm not sure, but like the event organizer is basically responsible for making sure that the vendors are following the rules, the zero waste checklist. And then just have something saying like, basically this checklist needs to get in front of every single vendor in some way. Like that can be up to you, but like it has to get in front of them.
Yes, so we like provide the vendor agreement, you know, in this packet. Or a
Mhm.
comparable agreement signed in your event contracts. You know,
Yeah,
something like that.
We ask, like, we have to review zero waste plans for events. And we
Mhm.
just ask them what their plan is, as
Yeah.
far as like, where will they have zero waste stations? How will they manage that material? How will they manage their compost? Where will their compost bins be?
hmm
And then if they don't have a thorough enough plan, go back to them and say, we need more details
Mm.
in that event approval process. But I wouldn't want you or Nikki or anyone to have to then hold them accountable for how they communicate with their vendors.
Right.
Right? Like, it seems
Yeah.
like it's fair to ask the event coordinator to take
Yeah.
on that responsibility and then communicate how they're gonna communicate with those vendors.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
But is that what you already do?
Well, so it wasn't very clear to me when I got tasked with this and like being on the meetings and such, like what my responsibility was. And I think what I understood it to be was just making sure that they got all of the signatures of the vendors, basically. So that's what I have been doing, is making sure that they've gotten all the vendor signatures, and then I sign off on it, basically. But I think that a lot of what is in this permit hadn't necessarily been like enforced in the past, and I think that's where we're running into frustrations with event organizers, which I completely understand, because I think the person before me in this position was not enforcing a zero waste plan or reviewing a zero waste plan. And so I would like to do that, like have the organizer have something like that. But it would probably be a conversation of like, well, we didn't have to do this before, so why are you making us do it now? Because that's just like what I foresee. And that doesn't mean that we shouldn't do it. I just know that there's gonna be some growing pains, I guess, there.
What about event waste audits? What about the threat of like, we come through and you have vendors without the appropriate materials, you could lose your ability to apply for this event in the future. You know, I know that's like pretty strong, but I think that would at least indicate the severity, right? The importance.
Yeah, I also want to be careful to balance that with the fact that, like, not to say that the event organizers that had left didn't have their own issues. But I think that we also don't want to come across as trying to make it difficult to put on an event.
Yeah.
And a lot of what I hear is
Yeah.
businesses in town aren't required to do this.
Yeah.
So why are us special events required to
And
do
then
it? And why are we gonna get waste audited
Yeah.
when no business in town is? And I can just hear
yeah, that's fair.
Yeah.
Yeah.
that in my head.
I think maybe we could start with just like, please provide a basic plan of what you plan, like what bins you plan to have for collection, how many.
So they're supposed to have spots labeled
Yeah,
where all the bins are supposed to be.
yeah,
And each waste station has to have recycle and compost, and then it may or may not also have landfill.
right.
So that's on the map.
So
that they
compost isn't
submit.
just limited to where the food is? Compost is throughout the whole event?
I believe so, but I'd have to look at the checklist again to make.
I don't know that, let's see.
Best practice is also having volunteers, right? to store it.
It is, yeah, and that was something we also talked about, like requiring, and there were
I
some
think
feelings about that.
discover just means people, whatever.
Totally.
I mean, right now,
It says manned
It's-
waste.
it says are monitored by a volunteer or staff member. And like, talking with certain folks that are event organizers, like they do have that.
Yeah.
It's just like if a new event were to come into town, with like new organizers, then like we want to make sure everyone's being held to the same standards. So like we have this checklist, and I know that like I can't enforce it for every single event because there's that's a lot of time for me to go around and like make sure that these things are actually happening.
Mhm.
So I think the first step might be to require like a more specific plan or something, like you were talking about, Erica. Yeah, in the application. So maybe instead of like, maybe with this zero waste checklist, just making sure like it's incorporated, like you were saying on the map, they're supposed to have where the waste stations are, just like, because I don't always get that information. They don't always send that to me. So like, I think that might be like an internal thing that we just need to like reinforce.
Yeah, and you're right. I'm not sure if the sustainability coordinator was part of the event permitting process when Peter
Yeah.
was doing it. Like,
I
don't
I really never thought about that piece.
I
Yeah.
was with Frozen Dead days.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That doesn't mean that this person was, but yeah.
That's but yeah, Frozen Dead didn't happen again after that.
True, yeah.
Yeah, I think. So in my mind, I get what you're saying with the plan, but I guess I understood the zero waste checklist to
Yeah.
be the plan that we're basically handing to events so that it is
Yeah.
easy to adapt here.
Yeah.
And so I would almost say, any changes or alterations can be considered
Yeah,
in an addendum.
right.
And so then for, you know, somebody who didn't want to have all their vendors sign an agreement, they would add an addendum. This is my zero waste plan. This is what I'm doing. My vendors all sign a contract that has these policies listed out in it. They provide a copy of that page of the document or whatever. And then it would be there the next year for town staff to see, okay, this is what this vendor did previously. They're doing it again. And might kind of get rid of some of that confusion of not knowing, you know, if it's an addendum in the application. Stuff.
So if they do things differently than the checklist, then they would add an addendum, basically.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think that makes sense, like the checklist is the plan. I think what my concern is that they may just like initial off and not really do it, which again, like I don't have time to like go to every event and enforce it. And check that like all of these things are being done.
Is it worth like reaching out to like a handful of the event coordinators, present and past, to just say like, hey, what do you think would work? You know, how could we support you all with this while also making it more streamlined?
It could be, but I know that that would open the bag of like how the rest of the like application and the process could be changed, and I'm not sure that other staff members who are in charge of that have the capacity right now to do that. And I think that that was the idea. Like we did at one point have someone on staff working on it and she has since left. And Peter was working on it and he has since left. And so like, I think our problem is that we don't really have anyone with the time to like dedicate to this and like talk to the event organizers, because I agree that would be the best way to go. But I don't want to take that charge and then take on a bunch of extra stuff that is not in my like world, you know?
Yeah. And I know Alvin was around when we were going over this originally, who was one of the main like zero waste volunteers for NEDFest. So, you know, he's been talked about in the discussions. I was a market manager. We've clearly talked with Stephanie. She knows what's going on. So I guess I'd also be curious of who else. I think maybe Ned Gravel, but I'm not sure they generate waste so much.
They have mostly just recycling, and then I think they had a food truck last year. So it was pretty minimal, but
Yeah. I don't know who else.
yeah, Patrick.
There's Barry Sparks is the recycling coordinator at CU Boulder. He's just gonna retire soon. I mean, his wife just brought property in Old Town. And
Yeah.
Barry might be a good resource for just kind of overall information on you know, zero waste. I could reach out to him and see if he's interested.
Yeah, I think that would be helpful.
Or whatever.
Sure.
Yeah.
I mean, if he's gonna be in the area, maybe he wants to join our zero waste subcommittee.
Or we have an alternate position on the SAB too.
We do, we have an open.
We have an open position on the SAB that anyone who's interested in SAB meetings might want to apply for.
And it's an alternate.
I'm looking
so-
at someone actually.
Totally. I think I might be looking at them too.
Fire, where'd you go?
Just a thought.
Thanks, Rich. Yeah.
It's a big responsibility to be an alternate.
Well, you can try it out. It's like a good test, you
It
know?
is. It's a good try.
Yeah.
If I could survive this capstone.
Yeah, there you go. I think you will.
How
Okay.
about you? How do you feel it should be as the staff member?
Yeah.
That is gonna be enforcing these rules? Like, what do you wanna see? Not saying that we're gonna agree with it, but like, what do you
Right.
wanna see?
Yeah, I think I like the idea of putting the enforcement burden on the organizer for the zero waste stuff and making sure that they have it in their own rules, that they have their vendors sign. Yeah, that sounds good to me. And then my job would just be like talking with the event organizer about the plan, about the checklist essentially, and being like, do you have any questions on this? Is there anything you don't think you can do? If you're going to change something, like please submit in writing what you're going to do differently.
Yeah.
And then at least we have that for like the next year, so they can't be like, well, this is what we did. And then we actually have documentation of it. So
Yeah, I think that all makes sense. I support that.
Need to give you anything else, Cass?
I don't think so. I think that's helpful, and then I'm just gonna take this to Nikki and the organizer that I've been talking with, and yeah, go from there.
Should we move on? Do we have any more updates? Subcommittee? Right. How about your sustainability coordinator update?
Yes. All right, give me 1 second. I gotta pull that up.
Is the pie group a subcommittee? Not really.
No, but I will talk about it in my updates.
I usually put it on as a separate agenda item. Missed that this time.
Melody.
It's okay. Speaking of pie though, we have the workshop 2 coming up. So that is going to be May 4th, Monday, May 4th in this room.
May the 4th be with you.
Oh, I didn't even, it is May the 4th. Nice. So we will have food. I'm trying to get Kathmandu.
Okay.
So that I'm hoping that that works out.
I don't think I got a calendar invite for that because I know your email said that we should have gotten one.
Yes, you should have.
Yeah. It didn't come from you
You know, it came from Grace, I think.
Myra. So Myra's the
Maybe I
other,
didn't get it then.
yeah, that's
Okay.
okay. I might need to forward this to everybody again. Let's see. Erica, is your email ericathorley@gmail.com?
Yeah.
And Melody, you're on here too. And Tim, you're on here as, let me see which email it is.
I got it.
At msn.com?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, you did. Cool.
I got it, but I can't read it.
Sorry. Myra is Mayra. Who can't be there?
I can't.
You can't be there. Okay. I can forward it to both of you. And I might just, I don't know if I should just forward it to everybody again or not. Oh, okay. Well, maybe I should forward it to everybody again, just in case. But yeah, so that is
It's not in
happening.
my spam, but I don't know why I didn't see it.
Weird.
Now I got it.
What is that, Cass?
So this is with Partners in Energy. So we're doing that energy action plan with them, and we did one workshop in January. And then since then we have done a community survey. And we got 64 people to respond, which is pretty good for Netherland.
64?
64, yeah. Which I can share those like results with you all if you're curious about seeing the specifics. There was a lot of like write-in answers for certain things. The notable one I would say is when we were asking them what word they would put in for our like vision statement. A lot of them wrote in like reliability and resilience and things that, yeah, sustainable, which is funny. But like it did really hammer home the like resilience aspect was something that people really cared about. Especially, you know, with outages that have happened recently, and we did say that like we were expecting that. But the number one choice of the like options that we had was renewable. So they wanted to advance a renewable energy future. And if I find the full results, I can tell you the full vision statement.
Is carbon free, net zero.
Yeah.
They opted for renewable.
That's cool.
Yeah. So here it is.
Yeah, carbon free, I'm confused. Something.
Yeah, I think net zero was another one. So let's see. Bless you. So about 2/3 were folks who owned a home in Netherland, and it's their primary residence. And then
And that was Netherlands zip code. Or that was the Netherland boundary?
We said, I own a home in Netherland, which is my primary residence. So I guess,
Is it good?
yeah, it could be in the Netherland area. That's fair.
That's gonna be interesting to point out to the BOT.
Yeah. Well, so they did do a presentation to the Board of Trustees on Tuesday. So we asked the board if they basically supported the goals that we proposed. And so Melody, Jack, and I kind of discussed the goals that Partners in Energy had first presented to us that they were going to present to the Board of Trustees. And we suggested some changes because one of the goals was essentially trying to reduce greenhouse gas emissions by the equivalent amount that it would be if we switched to 100% renewable energy. And they were going to get there by also accounting for reduction in natural gas. However, the concern was that, well, in the baseline, you're saying 100% renewable electricity equivalent carbon dioxide emissions, but you're not including natural gas emissions. So how is the baseline, how are you counting natural gas reduction as reduction in emissions for the electricity if you're not including the natural gas as the baseline as well? Does that make sense?
She was basically trying to make up for getting more renewable energy on the grid with this whole natural gas calculation.
Yeah.
And then we were like, I don't know, we don't feel comfortable about mixing those things. We felt like that's gonna be far too complicated. And basically weighing in the balance, the emissions of reduction to natural gas compared with the emissions of electricity. No, let's separate them out. Let's have an energy goal and a natural gas emissions reduction goal. Not try to conflate them and make them all add up to 100.
Yeah.
I wasn't even quite getting what they were trying to do. I mean, I do,
It-
but
It
it's hard to
seemed like a
explain.
trick, like a math trick.
Yes.
And
did.
it seemed like disingenuous. So
Because you guys cut that.
yeah. So we kind of had a tight turnaround, but we proposed still 100% renewable energy
By 2030.
by 2030.
The electric grid.
Then a 1.5% emissions reduction in natural gas use.
Yes. So I was just gonna pull up the slides so you guys could see them.
Easy. Are we gonna see that?
I bet we would have seen one this year.
Yes, but
Just-
she's talking about not,
Well,
she's talking about not accounting for
I,
the less heat days because of winter. So overall, the calculations would account for how many heat days there are. And balance it out
Well, like how many
equivalently.
heat pumps is that to reduce this 1.5%?
I don't know.
It can't be that many. We're not
I will say Jack said 30% and we said, or whatever Pi suggests, and Pi said 1.5. So I think.
Jack suggests 30.
So I
Yeah.
think there's some different understandings of what numbers we're pulling from, which is why those numbers are so far apart.
Yeah.
I don't think it's because they literally said, oh, no, that's not achievable. I think it's because Jack was probably calculating off a different set of numbers and a 30% reduction in a different way
Yeah.
than what Excel is. And I bet if we got them all on the same page, they're talking about similar things.
Okay, and
Yeah.
these are not additionality. This is Rex.
No, that is with our current mode of calculating renewable electricity.
Yeah,
Which is additionality. So like community solar gardens subscriptions count. So like the.
believe so.
government
It's
is on-
calculated in Rex no
Yeah.
matter who owns it.
So
We specifically call out the additional pieces that Netherland adds.
this is the graph that they showed us for basically how much we need to increase. And so I think it's a annual increase of about 4% each year in order to hit the, well, and I thought this was interesting because this shows us hitting like over 85% by 2030, but not like 100%. So
Yeah, I
This
was
is-
wondering about that too, when they showed this graph to the BOT, I'm like, that's not actually what we're talking about, because you
Yeah.
said 85 by 2028 and 100 by 2030.
yeah,
What happened in 2023 to 2024? Was
All
that?
those renewable connect subscriptions
Really?
ended.
So
The first round.
we've
not the
talked-
10-year
yeah.
contracts, but the
we talked to them about this and they kind of just brush it off.
Who did Excel?
Partners in Energy.
Yeah.
Like they gave us an answer, but they're kind of like, consider that an outlier and that's not the norm. So like in reality, like that should have been, you know, like 16 or 17% for that like additional that year. And it's like,
That's the Renewable Connect subscriptions expiring.
yes, basically. That's what we assume. I don't think they've said either way if that's true, but like I'm pretty sure that's what that
That's
is.
your contract, right? That's for 2019.
Yeah, and if you look in the table that we have in the numbers, like it does go down significantly, Renewable Connect subscriptions for that year.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm a little confused by this graph and I think that will need to be a conversation with Pi.
And also
but-
Excel is projecting to be more than 62% renewable by 2030.
That was the other
That was
thing.
The other question.
I was like, I'm pretty sure you guys agreed to 80%,
Yeah,
but
They're trying to roll that back.
right. So I think that might be part of
This
this.
is a preview of that.
Yeah, is like they're not committing to that in these presentations
And
either.
I shouldn't say Excel is actively trying, but like
Mm.
the coal plants and Trump forcing them
Yeah.
to stay in operation and they're struggling with how they're gonna get there.
And
That's
they
fair,
need to
yeah.
remain competitive as a national energy company with all the other national energy companies operating in other states that don't have such strict.
Okay, so what happened then? So did the 100% and the
So-
1.5?
So we asked them, how ambitious does the board want to be with these two goals? Essentially, like, do you agree with these or not? And they said that they're going to be doing their strategic planning next month. And so they want to consider the goals during that process. And I asked like Becca and Grace about the timeline for this plan because the plan is supposed to be done in June. And the workshop is supposed to be with the like having the goals in mind, developing the strategies that are going to get us there. And they said that, well, we can just move forward with this workshop without setting those goals yet, until the board like discusses them. So, it was interesting because the board was also asking, about like what low hanging fruit can we grab onto basically, to try and get, as much like local generation in Nederland as we can. And like some of the problem with some of that is like, even if we know who the biggest electricity users are, like we can't necessarily like Pi can't really like call them out, you know?
Mhm.
Because there's like confidentiality with energy. And so like they kind of halfway asked that question during the meeting and also asked like almost like, do we need Pi? And I was like, well, as Melody then pointed out later, like, yes, we do. They give us access to like Excel's data.
And they're free.
And they're free. Yeah, and so they're talking about like strategic planning and like this can be included in your strategic planning, right? Like I don't think the Board of Trustees are experts on energy and trying to get us to 100% renewable energy. So like that's why this plan is so important. And I'm hoping that they engage more and come to our workshop as well, to maybe help inform their strategic planning.
I will say, I think I heard at least 2 BOT members that were supportive of making sure that our renewable energy goal was within the strategic goals.
Yes.
I mean,
But that's not a majority of the BOT.
how could it not be? Like literally
Yeah.
climate change is the biggest threat that we have.
And I will say, I was very disappointed listening to the meeting and what I heard was a hesitancy to try and put money and time towards these goals when streets are falling apart, there's no sidewalks, et cetera, and all the other difficulties that town is already facing, and they're seeing sustainability in competition with that
Yeah.
instead of
In support.
as a necessary measure
Yeah.
to make sure we achieve those things long term.
And like, it's not a this or that, like, even this pie plan, it's not
Mhm.
taking that much time from the Board of Trustees, although.
Yeah.
Maybe don't need to go to the Board of Trustees this often, right? And maybe that
Yeah.
would be a way to say, yeah, this won't be as time consuming for you all if you can just let staff run. And
Mhm.
do the work, come back periodically, but not as frequently, and then use the advisory board as it's designed to be, and has
Yeah.
it historically has operated, you know?
And I think like we kind of acknowledged that there probably needs to be another SAB BOT work session, just to maintain the contact between the two, especially with new members and a new mayor. So I wanted that to be after the new trustees got sworn in and everything. But now they're going through their strategic planning process, and I'm not sure like about, I'm hoping that they'll make time to like meet with SAB. But something that we're gonna talk about later is actually they want input from all the boards on what their strategic like goals should be.
Great, yeah, and it's timely with our goals.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely,
wrapped up.
definitely.
I do wonder if it's worth going to the Board of Trustees as like individuals to just say like, hey, these are the things that we've worked on. These are the things that we're concerned about as residents, as advisory board members. Like, these are threats. We know our residents really deeply are concerned as well. Fire is intimately connected to climate change.
Yeah.
Right? And temperature and lack of snowpack and, you know, all these things that are like these bigger kind of holistic challenges.
Mhm.
And it seems like it might be timely for us to show up. I know I haven't been very engaged with the Board of Trustees in meetings, but I'm happy to come back and say, all right, we came in almost 10 years ago, y'all.
Mhm.
Like, still a concern.
Yeah,
Yep,
yeah.
2018.
And you can always come at the end,
Bigger.
you can always come at the end of meetings and make public comment.
Is it at the end?
It's now, yeah, it's at the end, but I know that this last meeting, there were several people who showed up and they knew it was gonna be a long meeting, so they actually moved it up. And so that they didn't have to sit around until like 11 PM or whenever it ended.
Yeah, public comment at the end. That's kind of brutal.
Yeah,
That's
Yeah.
kind of
it's a choice.
It's choice, and from their standpoint, I think it makes sense to do it that way if you want to minimize people talking.
But is that what you really want to do?
I'm not.
No, but that is exactly why that change happened, is because it was happening in the middle of the meetings, and then there were conversations happening out in the hall and in the seats between people while the rest of the meeting was going on, because somebody brought up something really controversial but yes, it's a deliberate choice.
I think that if we are not speaking to the board as the result of some action or vote we take as the SAB, anyone doing that would have to be doing it sort of as a private citizen.
Oh,
Yeah.
yes.
Yeah, okay,
100%.
Definitely.
Yeah, you can't speak on behalf of the board unless you
Right.
have a vote.
exactly.
100%.
I would also like clarity on when things like this go before the BOT.
Hmm.
Am I only allowed to be there to speak as a public comment member for 3 minutes? Because that's the opportunity I've been given. And I feel like in the past, I've actually been there as a presenter to be able to answer questions and engage in more of a back and forth, add anything to the presentation that maybe have been missed. And I haven't been given the opportunity lately, and I kind of would like to have that back, but I also don't want to like dominate things.
I think even when I've been there on behalf of SAB at the board's request, I remember this happening once. I still think they wanted me to stay in for 3 minutes.
I never have had that. Because when we used to bring things on behalf of staff, before there was staff,
Mhm.
we would be up there for however long the discussion item was.
Right. Yeah, and I think that's something I can get clarification on for you all, and let them know, like,
Well, because like even Jim Rice with DDA, he gets 3 minutes as a public member of the public to comment when his board has been running and working on this project for how many years?
or
Like,
was that planning commission?
or planning commission,
Yeah.
sorry, not DDA, planning commission. You know, it's
Yeah.
like that whole process is odd to me, and I think it could be different, and I would like it to be different, but I'm one person in a democracy.
Well,
Then you
I
have
think if
three
you want it to be
years.
different, you need to run for the town board.
What's that, sorry?
I think if you want it to be different.
I think I've run for a town board for the last 10 years.
I mean, that's the way to change it, right? Be the man.
Yeah.
Woman.
Well,
So,
the man, capitalize.
so just
So,
getting
yeah.
back to this, yeah.
So where do we leave it? So they're gonna wait till their strategic plan.
Yeah,
and
so
learn
they-
from us
let
on
me-
what we think is important for their strategic plans.
Yes,
Is there a
so
formal process, solicitation process?
I asked that question. What I understand is in our goals discussion tonight, we'll talk about the top 3 goals
Yeah.
and maybe finish them in argument if we have time.
Let's maybe-
That can get sent along to them.
And I believe we'll bring this back to the Board of Trustees for like the plan for their approval. So before that happens, I think the BOT should be offering us some sort of direction on like where they want to go with these goals that we have in the plan.
Yeah.
But I'm not sure what that looks like, to be honest. Yeah, and then this was the other graph that they had showing that like 1.5% decrease. And I think at least one BOT member was saying that doesn't seem like worth it to pursue because it doesn't seem like that significant. I believe that was Chris Larson.
Maybe let's do more.
Yeah, and I don't know that the other trustees really commented on this one specifically, so.
Well,
No, I think one trustee, or the mayor, I should say, did say potentially dropping natural gas altogether
Right.
from the goals.
Yeah.
Just that.
But they did
Because
both-
natural gas is an issue or because of what?
Because they are being strategic about the goals that they want to prioritize, and they may not feel that both of these things should be prioritized.
So let me throw out a wild card. Does this matter to us? Like, can we still do all the things we want to do without a goal? Can we still electrify? Can we still do heat pump bulk purchase campaigns? Can we still do rebates? Can we still do communication and education? Like, maybe this
Well,
isn't even worth
As
it.
long as we continue to agree to partner with partners in energy, which means yes, doing this plan, not necessarily officially adopting.
I guess,
it, but
yeah.
Going through the motions.
So even if the BOT doesn't agree to the goals that SAB sets and is in this plan, and even if the BOT doesn't sign off on it, we can still have access to PI and access to their support.
So what if we just pivoted to like 100 heat pump replacements for propane or natural gas HVAC equipment?
I think as staff, I should say the goal is still to get the BOT to sign off on this.
Yeah, makes sense.
Yeah, I think what they were confused about is a lot of them have not been participatory in the many discussions we've had about the strategies that are available to us, and don't necessarily understand that we have and are pursuing all low-hanging fruit that's freely available to us.
Yeah.
I think they seem to think there was a lot more opportunity than what the reality is. There was a lot of discussion of, oh, can't we get a microgrid? Can't we get a microgrid? And like, without any
Hydropower,
understanding that we've had that discussion here for 15 years, and if it was possible to easily do that, it would be done already.
they mentioned wind turbines and geothermal.
Yeah.
And I was considering, the fact that these would all require grants because
So-
we're outside financing or something, because we do not have the money to like, that's just so expensive. Like most towns don't have the money to do that.
And our,
Yeah.
Geothermal would be so expensive. But you know what? This right here, we can pivot this to an air quality, a pollution reduction, resilience enhancing campaign in Netherlands. Like this is gonna have nothing to do with climate. This can literally just have how do we improve the air quality indoors for Netherlands.
Indoors, yeah,
residents.
because most people would say outdoors, it's fine.
Right.
Yeah,
like,
but
this is
indoors,
an
yeah.
indoor,
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
let's get creative with Pi about like And depending, of course, I understand what you're saying to Cass, like,
Mhm.
we're this far, we should probably continue instruction.
Mhm.
But depending on what Board of Trustees says, like, we can pivot this
Mhm.
very quickly to lots of different directions.
Yeah, I think the only thing is we have put feedback out to the community and the feedback we got from the community was what resonates with them was lowering emissions
Yeah.
and adding renewable energy because those are such easy concepts for
Yeah.
them to understand. And I don't
Yeah.
think that improving indoor air quality is any less easy to understand on that note. But like that is what the feedback we got, so that's why they are the way they are.
Yeah.
And I'd be hesitant to then change it so drastically. And maybe some of our community members being like, wait, that's not what we talked about. Now you're totally changing it. Why? I mean, we did have 60 people respond to the survey that hopefully are gonna follow up and,
Yeah.
see the other stuff we put out.
Yeah.
I think there's ways to be strategic.
I think in workshop 2, we can talk more about that and see what other folks at that workshop think as well. Because yes, like 64 respondents, people who are paying attention in the community, like we want to definitely keep their feedback top of mind, but that's not to say that like they wouldn't agree with you when you're talking about indoor air quality.
Yeah.
I
So,
think the other interesting piece is like, where does Boulder County go?
Mm.
Like, we may actually not have much control over these conversations as
Yeah.
much as we think we do right now,
yeah,
you know?
that's true.
They might require future electrification.
Yeah. Yeah. All right, well, that is kind of the update. And then,
Thanks for doing that. That's
Yeah.
a lot.
yeah. I
It's
just want,
exciting stuff too, like even
Yeah.
depending on where the Board of Trustees goes, it's a good conversation to have. It brings it to the residents, it gets them thinking about it. You know, there's a lot of benefit.
definitely.
Move on to goals.
She's got.
I still gotta do a
Oh, I
couple
thought
more.
that was the end of your.
Oh, sorry, I just
No, that
mean
was
with,
the end of the pie section.
with the pie section, sorry, yeah.
That should have been its own agenda item.
Yeah.
Space.
So Switch Together, we're still working on that. I attended 2 Wild Bear events this week to try and table about it. And got some interest. So, and then we're doing social media posts and there are mailers sent out for the heat pumps as well. So please share the programs with anyone that you think is looking into solar, battery, heat pumps. And also maybe if you talk to folks and they're like, oh, well, my, furnace is working fine right now or something, like maybe throw in the idea that like one day it might fail. What is your plan then? So like maybe replace it before it fails. What is that timeline? Just like get people thinking about that. So then when this program comes up again, they're like, oh, this time it actually makes sense for me. That's just something that we talked about at another workshop.
So to talk about the Rewired America split bulk purchase. Have you heard any updates on that?
Is that with Switch Together as
No,
well?
I think it's separate.
I don't think I'm aware of that one.
Okay, I think Boulder was doing like a pilot with Rewiring America, and then they want to
Okay.
go national, so I don't know where it's at. Rewiring America, I know, lost a lot of staff.
Boulder County.
I think it was, yeah, it probably was Boulder County.
Okay.
But that was really interesting. It was huge discounts, like up to 40%.
Wow.
It was mini splits.
Someone did ask me about mini splits and I was like pretty sure that's not included in the heat pump program. I thought I had checked, but yeah, I told her to go on their website anyway, just to see, but that's a good point. Yeah, I'll look into that. We talked about Excel and then extended producer responsibility. So we submitted the application. We brought this to the board as well. They will, not give us nods to submit the application. And we will be signing an intergovernmental agreement with Boulder County to basically divert the funding to them, and then they will perform the education and outreach for our residents. And we talked about that scope of work last time. The one thing that did come up in the Board of Trustees meeting was that they didn't want to do mailers. They saw them as just like extra trash. And I attended a Recycling in America workshop that next week, and they actually gave a lot of really good evidence and data for why mailers actually work and change people's habits. And one of the big things is like, how do you reach residents who aren't on social media, who maybe aren't as social in the community, don't go to events, don't go to your town hall, your community center, you know, you still want them to have the same opportunities and know this information. So mailers are a great way to do that. I'm going to make that pitch to the Board of Trustees when this IGA comes to them next, and kind of offer like water bill inserts as a backup if they don't want to do direct mailers. But I'm hoping that they kind of understand that data and agree that we need to reach all of our residents. For the EV charger, the screen's back on again. We have not heard back from FSEC in a couple weeks. We are going to escalate the issue with our legal counsel. We did talk with national car charging representatives, and they think that we could get another charge ahead grant to replace the current fast charger because it's being run through CEO rather than the air quality. I forget the name.
RAC.
RAC.
Air Quality Council.
Yes, Regional Air Quality Council. So that was the original grant that we received. So they said that you'll probably be able to get a new grant, but then we would have to come up still with the 20% match. So if we're hoping to maybe get a refund from FSEC, or at least a partial refund, but we will see what we can do there. And then the level 2 charger info, and then as always, the resilience action plan, which Patrick, did you want to give a little update on that?
Sure. Okay, so the scope of work is our internal planning document used to guide us through the summer and the fall. As Erica knows, large focus in the Masters of Environment program is teaching project management skills, primarily through the capstone experience. Therefore, the scope of work is extremely detailed, and to put a word on it, I will say it's wordy. Heard it through the grapevine, one of my neighbors, that concise documents do well before the eyes of the Board of Trustees. So we will be giving that due consideration through any document that will go in front of those people.
Are they gonna, they're gonna approve your scope of work?
No,
We decided that since it's an internal planning document, it didn't need to be approved by them.
yeah, we are gonna share our scope of work with this SAB on May 1st. We just have a couple more edits to go, and between Cass and Britt and ourselves, but we will share the whole thing with y'all on May 1st. I just kind of wanted to give you that that heads up about the length of it. Just real quickly, the first 2 sentences of our summary. Capstone team will be working with the town of Netherland, a small mountain town with a population of about 1,500, located 17 miles west of Boulder. The desired outcome of this project is to produce a resilience action plan that will contain a community engagement summary, the strategies, implementation matrix, and the gaps in alignment analysis. Again, with this being so much of an academic kind of exercise for us, there's all these breakouts. There's a summary draft, context, deliverables and methods, project timeline, risk management plan, stakeholders draft, itemized project budget, professional presentation. So we have done a couple of presentations amongst our classmates and advisors to get some feedback with our scope of work. References, citations, glossary, and appendix. Basically, I hope that you guys get the full report on May 1st instead of me talking about it now.
Yeah.
I hope that then you'll be able to look at it, and then at that point, we will definitely welcome any feedback. And because once the academic part is handed in, now it's more of a transition to reality, which I'm so psyched for.
Yeah, you'll be working 20 to 30 hours per week in the summer? Is
Yeah,
that okay?
Yeah, it's 300 total.
Okay.
And I was initially thinking it was 30, and then talking to a lot of people that have already completed, they said, well, actually, with the span of weeks, it could be closer to 20.
Mm.
Which helps me, but
Mhm.
yeah, 300 total hours is the expectation.
So you could always do more in the beginning or later on, or however that pans out. too.
Right, if people have vacations and stuff, so 300 hours per student semester.
Right. Yep.
That's cool.
Awesome. Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay. And now
You-
I am done with my updates.
You did want direction on us.
Oh,
for the
yes.
Next thing on the agenda for, technical assistance from Dr. Cog. Erica had brought up, power ahead.
Yeah. So
Power ahead Colorado.
So specifically, Netherland is part of the Building Policy Collaborative, which is a Dr. Cog program, where basically all the jurisdictions are working, on creating this kind of like framework, different kinds of frameworks to decarbonize buildings, for electrification, different things like benchmarking and building policy, or sorry, building performance standards. We're talking about all these different topics as municipalities within Dr. Cog. And as part of that program, we actually get 10 free hours of technical assistance from Lotus, which is the consulting firm that is working with them. So kind of think of it as like Partners in Energy is the consulting firm for Excel. Lotus is the consulting firm for this Dr. Cog program. And they said that through that technical assistance, they can come and present to Board of Trustees, to Sustainability Board, to staff, whoever, on whatever topics we're thinking. And I remembered that, Erica, you pointed out that having experts come in and kind of tell us about the state of electrification, and in regards to natural gas as well in Colorado, would be helpful. And so I figured, why not use that technical assistance that they're offering? So I guess what I'm hoping for is anything that I can kind of give to them to say, this is what we want to know about. And then they would come to a meeting and then give a presentation to us, essentially. Or they could also do different like data analysis, I think, or just maybe not data analysis, but like research and such on any topic that we may be interested in.
Yeah, so one thing that Luke Miller brought up
Mhm.
during the whole pie discussion was like, are there other towns that are electrifying right now? And what are they doing and how successful have they been? So I think, getting some background on maybe some other communities that have started moving towards electrification and like some reports of how successful they've been
Like Crested Butte.
could be helpful. Yeah, as well as just like the most up-to-date technology of what's out there and available right now for people to switch to.
Yeah, I think it would be insightful probably for the board of trustees to hear about Lafayette's electric code,
Mhm.
hear about City of Boulder's electric code, hear about the state of New York's electric code, rest of you.
Yeah.
I think it'd also be insightful if, and this might be a pie request, if we can see how many Netherland residents have taken advantage of the Excel heat pump rebate to date. Because I think they'll be surprised of how many homes are actually electrified in Netherland already. I don't know how readily available. I mean, that's actually pretty feasible.
I think that should be on our dashboard,
Data?
actually.
I should, yeah, in the community energy report from Excel. And I think those are finalized, like, I think they're just about ready for last year.
Yeah, so we have the data for that for like 2024 and before.
I think you should,
Think,
twenty
right?
twenty-five should be coming, and my
Yeah.
guess is because that was the rebate, that was the triple rebate.
Okay,
So I think they're gonna be pretty surprised by how many people have taken advantage of that.
of that one, yeah,
And
okay.
I think that started January 1st of 25. But I think, yeah, like a heat pump 101.
Okay,
Um,
and you want that for the Board of Trustees or for
well,
SAB?
I think for us, but I think it would
Okay.
be helpful to have like, invite board of trustees to that meeting if possible.
Yeah.
Definitely have John there and Nicole if she'll come.
Mhm.
But I think it also would be really valuable to, yeah, just look at the technology. But I think we should also frame it in a resilience perspective, that like this is a resilient strategy. We know the grid is greening. And so moving towards those more renewable energy sources are what we've heard from residents in the survey. This is like the best strategy we could do versus like the rooftop solar, great. Community solar garden is great, but really it's about taking advantage of the green grid.
Mhm.
And then, again, that resilience piece. So thinking about battery backups, like I still want to figure out a webinar about bidirectional EV charging as a battery backup for your home. I think that is a really cool opportunity to start to lean into for our residents. As well as like some of those other resilient strategies too, like, you know,
I think also talking about, heat pumps do more than heat. And we're having hotter and hotter weather up here.
Yeah.
And instead of installing an air conditioner, you can jump ahead of the game. You can get a heat pump now that is gonna help you with cooling and.
plus from wildfire smoke, like we've had terrible wildfire smoke historically. We haven't in the last couple of years.
Yeah.
When you can't open your windows because the air is so bad, a
Mhm.
heat pump is invaluable.
Right.
Yeah,
Yeah,
just to get it fresh and cool.
yeah,
Yeah.
sure. Filter your.
Talk about like cool weather heat pumps that work really well up here.
I think it'd also be cool to talk about
Cool
heat
climate.
pumps like in the southeast. Like there's a lot of heat pumps just being installed because they make more financial sense for most of the country.
Yeah, and I'd like more information on the heat pump hot water heaters.
They're also a slam dunk too, yeah.
Cause I only know a little bit about those. I'd like to know
Okay.
more about those and, how efficient they are for specifically mountain elevations and all that.
And you were so efficiency of heat pump hot water heaters, and then Erica, you said the southeast US and what they're doing.
Yeah, like,
Okay.
like Tennessee,
Mm.
you're not gonna install a gas HVAC system, like you're gonna install heat pump. And so I would imagine a lot of the pushback of the question is about our climate, and really we should only be installing cold climate air source heat pumps in
Mhm.
Netherlands.
Mhm.
But I think we could talk a little bit more about the realities of those. What does a backup look like? Is a wood stove an appropriate backup? Which a
Mhm.
lot of our residents have.
Mhm.
Rich, I mean, like, what else do you think would be important to talk to speak to?
Comprehensive. And that's all pretty good, and we only get 10 hours at a time, right?
Yeah, so that would be them doing all the preparation and then coming and presenting. So
Right.
I think we wouldn't use up all 10, but yeah. And they did say they had like extra hours if like we absolutely needed it for some reason too.
Oh.
So so how long do you think you'd want to give them for like a presentation and a discussion?
Just wondering if maybe we could do it as an add-on to a normal SAB meeting. And then record it and then have it on the town website as a resource.
We could do that.
I don't know how that is, the challenges from a technical perspective, but it might be cool to like invite members of the public too. We have seen
Yeah.
a lot of interest in like a heat pump 101, like people are
Yeah,
really
and we
curious.
host the special SAB work session that is just this. I mean, I
Yeah.
think that makes more sense than trying to fit it into a meeting. Like,
Yeah.
I'd honestly want to spend an hour with these guys.
Yeah.
And that doesn't leave a lot of time to do other regular meeting stuff.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I can definitely work on that. We'd want to figure out scheduling probably the evening, on a week that we don't already have SAB and BOT. And then probably in the next couple of months.
When does the switch together ends? June 18th, I think.
So they end at different times. The heat pump ends June 3rd. Yeah, and solar is September 2nd.
The other piece is that Paco is gonna be launching rebates.
Oh, yeah.
So it might be interesting to time it for after those rebates are public. There's gonna be even more money on the table to electrify.
Good point. So time it with like before Switch Together ends and after Paco releases the rebates, if we can.
In a perfect world.
Yeah.
but-
We want to involve vendors in this.
Installers,
Yeah,
there's a lot of challenge around that, especially up here. I know I worked with Independent Power. And I think the other folks I've talked with have worked with other folks from down below. I
Yeah.
don't know if there's many installers up here that are doing a lot of heat pumps and,
So
but I mean, look, if I was looking for a heat pump.
yeah.
Which
I
I
mean,
might at some
we
point,
do
I
it-
would go to someone that could put it in. I wouldn't go to the tap. Right?
Yeah.
For information. I would go to the company that sells them, installs them and say,
Yeah.
come to my house, tell me all about it.
so
So Excel has an installer list that are already like approved for their rebates to funnel them through. So it's, I think I could see Lotus like directing people that way.
Yeah.
It gets tricky with one installer as a town because
Yeah.
you can get nailed for bias.
Oh, I wouldn't want to
But-
install.
No, but I think put in the messaging of like, hey, we're gonna have this special work session, you're gonna learn this about stuff. If you're an electrician, if you're a XYZ,
Yeah.
come
There-
learn about these heat pumps.
yeah, and I also wanted to share with them this webinar that the Building Policy Collaborative is doing that's specifically for like industry.
Yeah.
And so I was already kind of thinking of like emailing all the folks that we have on our list directly, because I've done that with like retail businesses. I've emailed them to let them know about like the Green Business Network stuff.
Mhm.
So like it shouldn't be a problem if I'm just letting them know about like a free webinar or a free work session.
Yeah. You said this week was Excel has up to $45,000 per individual home built without any gas infrastructure.
Really?
Wow.
Yes.
Wow.
And that's like, that might be an interesting piece to see if Lotus can plug a little bit to gas.
So is this, you said 4,500,
45,000.
45,000 in like rebates essentially?
Basically.
Yeah.
It's, you have to be like the perfect location
Right.
and unit for that. But you can't have any gas infrastructure to the unit to qualify. So that's something like, I wonder if Lotus might also be able to help connecting with some of those resources for like developers, the building community up here too.
Yeah, definitely. And that is something that I've mentioned at some of those meetings, is how like we need to engage more of the like contractors in the mountains because they're getting left out. So, yeah, good point.
New construction.
New construction.
Mhm.
Yeah, and it's all tied into, I believe, the clean heat plan. So it's limited, but they expect to have significant funding. So, and once you're approved, it's committed for your project for 2 years. So the developers don't have to worry about it disappearing,
Right.
which is nice.
Cool. Great. Well, I think that is a really good plan. And I can kind of submit the form basically to get the TA, and I'm sure they'll reach out and like want more information and we can go from there. And then I'll be in touch about like scheduling a work session the next couple months. Cool.
All
Yeah.
right.
We have about 3 minutes goals.
Yep. I think there's some important things to get to, at least in goals. If anybody's willing to stick around a little longer. So. I just want to start off by saying in general. I think it behooves us to do some serious outreach on behalf of our board to the BOT to inform them of what we're working on, the expertise that we do have here, the things that have been thought about, the projects that have been nixed because they're not possible right now. And, you know, originally we were like, okay, we're gonna present our goals, we're gonna take it back to the BOT because we're not getting another work session out of the BOT. And unfortunately, it's just taken us several months to get this far on them. But I do still think it's valuable to finish this document and get it in front of the BOT to let them know, like, we're a serious board that has been focusing on the resiliency of our town long before resiliency was a buzzword. And we called it sustainability before, but you know, now this is the word going around. And I think that's why Erica wanted to bring up like potentially making us not just the sustainability board, but being more inclusive of that fact that we do also focus on resiliency. I've heard some discussion about some members of the BOT maybe not wanting the current board structure that we have and maybe wanting to start a resiliency board. And when I heard that mentioned, I kind of thought, we do a lot of work on resiliency. I'm not sure we need a separate board, but that is kind of the function of this board right now. And so I want us to be in a place where we can be on the same page when we're representing what is SAB to the BOT and make sure they do understand that we do talk about resiliency. We do talk about the impact of these projects on the local economy. And we do want to make sure that anything we put forth doesn't, you know, prevent reasonable development, you know, and that sustainability and development are not two heads of a different coin, you know, they need to work together in conjunction. So with that, we have not a whole lot of time in our official meeting, but we do still have some more goals to get through. And I think, as Cass said, BOT is going into strategic planning and they wanted us to provide them some sort of document that is like, what is our priority goals? And I think we picked top 3 kind of priority goals. So really being able to nail down those 3, and then maybe, you know, an additional paragraph that I can put together about, you know, that kind of encompasses all the other things in our goals document that we were already working on. But so our priority goals right now, just to remind everybody, is number 1, secure funding for sustainability staff. Make sure we have a sustainability coordinator position at a similar or higher FTE level. To develop a 24/7 carbon-free energy plan. So to figure out what that looks like, how we could achieve that. And then developing our energy action plan. And then I guess EVs are also in here. I'm getting lost in my own document. Secure funding for sustainability staff, develop 24 carbon-free energy plan, develop an energy action plan.
I think we need to pivot some of these into a different framing. Like, I think that energy, the 24/7 carbon energy plan is really important, as well as the energy action plan. But it's like, it's not speaking to resilience. It's not speaking to like what those plans, what the goal of those plans actually are.
Yeah.
And I think if we just change the title to more of a bigger picture so that we can communicate to the BOT, I think that'll put us in a better spot. So what's the goal of a 24/7 carbon-free energy plan?
Emission reduction.
And a more resilient grid power system that is getting energy at all different inputs so that if one energy, so like diversifying those energy sources, right? So if one goes down, there's still power in the system.
So I think, yeah, that needs to be in the title is what you're saying, right? Like something about the resiliency of it, not just the carbon-free aspect.
And these are really specific goals. I think we might benefit from stepping back and having some broader goals. I think staff is a valid one on its own.
Mhm.
But I would say maybe that increase the current and long-term resilience of Netherlands and nearby areas, electricity or electric grid.
And that could have the energy action plan within it as well.
And the
The
24/7,
24/7, yeah.
right? And then I'm
Say that
wondering,
again.
I don't remember what it is there.
Resiliency of Netherlands and the surrounding areas grid.
invest and expand in the increased resilience of Netherlands' current and future energy grid to benefit all Netherlands residents?
Yeah, yes, I agree. What I will say is I'm hearing a lot of vision statements. And so that's why this is more goals focused, is because as a board, working board, what we wanted was these detailed solidified goals.
Mhm.
I also understand what you're getting at is like when we present this to the BOT, they're not gonna read it from that frame of mind that we are. So I'm wondering if there's a different way to do that, which is say within each action item, how it fits into the broader picture of making Netherlands more sustainable.
So we can
So,
only give them 3, right?
Well, they didn't limit you to
Not
3.
but they're not gonna want 5 things from us.
They're probably only gonna pay attention to the top 3.
And I've also heard from John really clearly that like that's not an appropriate step. And so I think we need to like really distill down what does SAP do? Right? Because I think that's where the miscommunication is happening. So I don't think there's the broad understanding of what we do beyond this group. And I don't think these goals give that.
Yeah.
I think we need to actually step back and have some broader goals. And then we have like specific action items that might be these things that we have listed
Mhm.
under each of these categories. Because even fleet electrification would be under
Mhm.
the grid, right?
So I do think I agree with Melody though on like what you were saying before was more of like a vision statement. So that is like the direction we want to head in. But then like the goals are the more like we want to achieve this, and then within those are like the actual tasks that you do to like okay, we're going to hire a consultant to get this plan going or something like that.
I still think that's gonna get us too much in the weeds.
Well, I'm not saying that we should go all the way to the weeds, but I do think that like having like the vision statements presented to the Board of Trustees is just as important as having like the specific goals that we want to accomplish.
So she was a fine goal for a decade.
Mhm.
Now it's not.
Not necessarily. There was 2 members that supported it and 2 people that didn't really say anything. And 1 person that discussed maybe changing it. So it's up to those 2 people who didn't say nothing. And which way we can get them to fall.
I think we need to sell ourselves.
Yeah.
I think we need to make sustainability sexy again in Netherlands.
That's what like the Japanese environmental minister said or something, right?
Yeah.
That it's like exactly like, yeah, no, he like said that, not word for word, but like basically he was like, we need to make like climate change work like sexy again. Yeah, I know.
I mean, it was for a while. Thank you, Greta.
Right? Yeah.
She was like 16.
Yeah, and then she became a full woman and no one wanted.
And then now nobody listens to her.
Yeah.
Well, so I think,
Yeah.
so
I know.
I think broadly, what we need to say is that all of our goals and our action items come from the vision that the community has developed for Netherlands, which is a resilient grid that is reliable, powered by renewable energy, and accounts for our impact on the nature around us that we all live here for. And how to narrow that down any further, though.
That's not narrow enough.
I mean, that's pretty narrow.
I think it's pretty
to me.
narrow.
I feel
Yeah.
like that like sets us up for success.
Right.
And then I'm wondering if the third one is like increase the resilience of the town of Netherlands where resources allow, like, because that's community EV charging, right? That's like doing engagement, that's connecting them with rebates, that's developing a resilience action plan. That's, there's so many of the things we're like already working on. And it's really this resilience strategy.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So I wonder if we have like an energy grid and then we have like a resilience, enhance the resilience of Netherland. You
And-
know?
And that's like, when you say resilience, like it can mean so many different things, I guess. Is that what you're trying to get at, or you, okay,
Because I think I think that's the definition that we want to perpetuate. It's like resilience can look so many different ways,
Mhm.
no matter, like, depending on who you're talking with, right? What are their priorities? Maybe it's
Yeah.
like the Big Springs egress, right? Because they're super worried about wildfire.
Yeah.
Maybe it's solar panels on the roof because they want to be all electric and they don't want to pay a ton of money and they want to be able to like have battery backup and sustain for 5 days.
Right.
Right? Like, I think there's, you know, businesses, like they're gonna have a totally different perspective, you know, being have like a steady stream of revenue for visitors. You know?
Or having backup power systems that can keep them open when the rest of town is down for 5 days.
Right?
Right.
Like,
So I do want to point back to the fact that we have a team working on a resilience action plan, and that like that should probably be one of the goals in here as well, is like develop a resilience action plan that gets at everything that you're saying. Because that is their scope, essentially.
well, and then
So-
implementation, right?
Yes,
Like,
yeah.
These are gonna be for 3 years, like the implementation of that plan. What is the next phases?
Yeah.
But I think if we do want to be concise, I think there's staff, or we could tie staff into resilience, right? But the energy grid and then this kind of broader resilience, meeting community members where they're at,
Mhm.
as well as supporting visitors in their resilience, right? And including the resilience action plan as like a big key within that bucket.
Yeah.
But I feel like that's gonna resonate more with the Board of Trustees.
All right, so where are we for tonight?
Good question.
What do you think about that?
Well, I think it sounds good. I mean, I think you're right, tying it into resilience because the big topic in town is power outage.
Mhm.
So, I mean, I think that has legs.
Do you know when their first like work session for this planning is gonna be?
No, and
Okay.
I learned about the strategic planning and at the same time that John learned about the strategic planning, which was on Tuesday.
Which was Tuesday.
So I don't know.
So it's probably not happening in the next couple of weeks.
I very likely could.
Oh,
I
good,
think
it's-
good.
I think
And
it's
it
kind of up in
sounds
the
to
air.
me That the BOT was gonna launch into their strategic planning without any input from anybody else. And we happened to be there bringing goals to them at a similar time.
Yeah, they did request this specifically. So
Okay.
they are asking for it now.
So how do we get it to them before our next meeting in May? Because it sounds like that would not be fast enough.
Yeah, so I think unfortunately, they want something like soon. So I think that was like, even if we can't give them this goals document, they wanted like your priorities, basically.
Which we have.
So I guess, do you want to share with them this goals document, or do you want me to just,
I do not want to share with them what we have. right
Okay.
now,
okay,
personally.
so
Do you have any time in the next few
Yeah.
weeks?
I'll make it a priority.
I would like to propose that Erica and I work together to solidify the goals we have, plus adding in these resiliency pieces that we talked about tonight into some sort of aim that Cass can then give to the BOT.
mhm.
I want to make this an official temporary subcommittee.
Sure. And are you guys comfortable if we batch the goals we have right now under like 30 kind of main categories?
Like different headlines,
Sure.
like we're gonna structure it differently.
And
For
this is-
presentation.
This is regarding resiliency.
Regarding
This is regarding SAB goals in general and BOT strategic
Yeah.
goals and how they work together.
Okay, so I'm
that Erica and Melody be made a temporary subcommittee to address the issues that Melody just outlined.
I second
I
that.
second
Oh, wait, I
that.
can't, you have to do that.
Okay, I second that.
Any discussion? I call a vote. Aye.
Aye.
The only clarification I need is just when we come with this draft, can we share it with the board? Because I want to make sure that you all are,
I can send an email to people with the draft and they can respond to me,
Yeah.
not reply all, but you may
Mhm.
respond to me with your comments. And we'll get feedback
And-
from you guys that way before we officially
Has
pass
to
it
be
on.
included in those emails, so
Yes.
it'll be part of the town's public record.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I also move that the board be allowed to take any action with regard to this new subcommittee through email. Exchanges with Melody.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is there a second to that?
I'll second that.
All right. Aye.
Aye.
Okay,
awesome.
it's unanimous.
We've
Nice
covered
job.
our bases.
Nice job.
All right, I move we adjourn. Although I do have some AI generated ideas for a new name.
wait, can
Oh.
we stop? Can you just leave? Can we talk for just like another 2 minutes? Please?
Meeting adjourned at 9:01 PM. Anyone who
Okay.
wants to leave can leave. And if Bruce wants to share any AI.
Yeah, sure.
But
Okay.
I'm here for it.
All right, so I